So South Africans appear to be divided on whether President Cyril Ramaphosa should lift the COVID-19 national state of disaster. The country was placed under lockdown regulations back in March 2020 as a measure to try curb infections. Newzroom Afrika's Mbali Thethani now with that report.
It has been almost 2 years since President Cyril Ramaphosa imposed lockdown regulations as the government tried to shield the country from the COVID-19 pandemic. While the battle against the virus continues, some health experts are urging the government to drop the restrictions.
Things like taking your name at the front of restaurants and all of that just needs to end now. There is a role for sanitizing, but that's to deal with the other bugs that affect us, particularly during winter, the viruses and bacteria that cause illness, but not to stop SARS-CoV-2. So a lot of the stuff that we've recommended against there, we now know the scientific, at the time we were kind of whistling in the dark a little bit because we didn't know how the virus totally spread. We thought there was much more of a transmission from the surfaces. We now know that that's extremely rare, that it's largely just from through the air. So all that stuff we do at the front end in walking through the door of supermarkets and everything where we're sanitizing and taking temperatures and taking names can end now.
Venter believes special regulations are not needed to manage the virus.
The idea that we're going to permanently be needing to wear masks needs to start being challenged now. Particularly as we start, I think what we're trying to do is to balance between this is a serious virus, but on the other hand, we do need to start getting to a stage where we are actually living with the virus while paying attention to it.
While some restrictions, like the curfew, have been lifted, South Africans are split on what should happen next.
I think we should still be sanitizing, we should still be wearing our masks, we should still be just trying to make sure that any after effects or anything that might come afterwards is like the chances of it affecting us is on zero.
I feel that they should at least be lenient on other things because this is also affecting us economically so the mask we can continue wearing them, but other things they should just restrict them lesser.
With people who have already taken the precautions of being vaccinated, I think they should go back to normal, and I think it's time for government to review its policy on the lockdowns and on the mandates. I think it's served its purpose. It's time to get on back to normal.
I think we've handled it well as a country, but I think it's gone to that stage where come now. Let's open stuff up. Let's start getting back to normal.
The regulations are just an irritation. They make no difference. They haven't affected us either way over the last 2 years, except obviously economically. It's just time for it to stop, and it's time for people to carry on with their lives, and it's time for us to rebuild our economy.
Meanwhile, the government continues to appeal to people to get vaccinated and warns a fifth wave is imminent, but is likely to be less severe. While lockdown regulations persist and South Africans live alongside the coronavirus pandemic, many are still divided on whether the national state of disaster should come to an end. They will now wait to hear from President Cyril Ramaphosa if it will be lifted soon. For Newzroom Afrika on Channel 405, I'm Mbali Thethani in Johannesburg.